Hi, I'm Marcy Cole, and I'm a holistic psychotherapist and the founder of CMOMA, which promotes the connection between individuals and couples without children and children in need, namely orphan and abandoned kids, through adoption, foster care, sponsorship, mentorship, and hosting. There's so many ways to help kids in need. And one of our programs is the Gifting and Grant Program, where we offer financial assistance to eligible single women, men, and couples adopting older kids and special needs children as well. So we also wanted to lend them support after they've adopted their kids, and when they bring them home and they faced all of these new experiences of becoming a new family. So it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce to you Jeanette Yoffe, marriage and family therapist and founder and executive director of the Celia Center, which is a nonprofit organization. Jeanette, can you tell us a little bit about the mission of Celia Center?
Yes, and thank you for having me here.
So happy to have you.
Celia Center, we address the critical mental health needs of anyone connected by foster care and or adoption. So we provide support groups, conferences, special events, workshops for adoptees, foster youth, alumni, children, parents thinking about adoption, foster parents, adoptive parents, and birth parents. So we include all members of the constellation to provide that support that is a lifelong process.
Beautiful. So thanks to Jeanette's experience and expertise in working with this population, we are at CMOMA sponsoring this video series, and it is for adoptive parents, it is for educators, and it is for professionals in the field that are supporting these parents, adoptees, and their families. And the purpose of this video series is to provide information about the prevalent common themes that often happen in the lives of adopted kids. And this is in order to help you foster healing and healthy attachment and trust and connection to your child, your student, or your client. And so Jeanette is going to be sharing all of this incredibly valuable information that is really informed by her years of experience, 16 years of experience, working with countless families, and her extensive training and credentials, as well as her personal experience, being in the foster care system herself, adopted at the age of 7.5. Gandhi once said that my life is my message, and Jeanette, you have certainly lived your message. So thank you so much for sharing this from the inside out to all of us present in receiving this information.
Thank you so much, Marcy, for giving me this opportunity and this opportunity for me to share my voice in relationship to my experience personally and professionally.
This video series will include 5 modules. At the end of each module, you will receive a questionnaire, a multiple choice questionnaire, and a certification of completion when you've finished. This is for parents, caretakers, or professionals if you're taking this series for professional development and continuing education credit. And the modules are going to flow as follows. The first one will be about the general things that we might see with adopted kids of any age. The second module will be about the development and care for children that have been adopted from age birth to age 5. Mm-hmm. The third will be for kids age 6 to 8. Mm-hmm. The fourth will be for children that are adopted, and we're looking at what we can do to assist them age 9 to 12. Mm-hmm. And finally, module 5 will be for teens, the age bracket of 12 to 18. We thank you for your interest and for taking the time to learn more about how you can nurture your child, your student, your client. We know that these children, for generations to come, will benefit from your compassion, love, and proactive support. In this first module, we're going to be talking about the general things that we may see with kids that have been adopted. So Jeanette, let us know some of these primary issues that we might witness in the ways that we can help.
Well, there are 4 major themes that do touch the lifespan for the adopted person, which is number 1, managing the grief and loss associated with having that early separation from their first mother. Number 2 is understanding how trauma impacts the brain and behavior. So it is considered for a child who was separated from their birth mother, it is considered a traumatic event. Mm-hmm. So it will have some traumatic underlays. They may be overwhelmed, and I will help in this video explain how trauma impacts behavior so that you can read the cues of your child and understand how they're being impacted in the moment. The third theme is attachment, and because of that early separation, they may have attachment challenges. which means they have difficulty trusting their new caregivers, feeling, can I be vulnerable? Feeling, will you leave me too? Will you abandon me? So they really need to establish that security and safety in the relationship. So I'll be talking about key points of attachment to help you facilitate that security with your child. And then the last common theme is impacting their self-esteem. Now, all children are egocentric, so they believe it was their fault that they were separated from their first mothers, unless deemed otherwise. However, there will be a part of them that will feel, was it my fault? Was I valuable? Am I valuable? And am I worthy today? So we want to help kids separate and build their self-esteem and recognize that it wasn't about you, that you were removed from your biological parent, that it was about the circumstances in their life. So we want to help them understand so they can build their confidence and have objectivity about their story to make sense of their lives.
Yes. Okay, so these four themes again have been about grief and loss, have been about trauma and the brain and its impact, have been about attachment issues and self-esteem and self-worth. Is there anything else we can understand more about this experience for many children?
Well, I do include 5 points that adoptees really, really want their parents to understand. So I will be including that in the video, and those will be very helpful for parents to have an understanding that this is what your child needs, because we want to meet their needs to, again, establish that safety, security, and trust in the relationship.
Okay, so time to watch the video.
Great.
Here we go.
Hi, welcome to the Module 1 training. I am Jeanette Yoffe and I will be presenting this to you today. We will be learning about general experiences with adopted children. There will be 2 quizzes and a completion certificate for you at the end of this module. It is approximately 1 hour in length. You can pause it at any time and come back to it as you like. So sit back, relax, and I hope you gain great knowledge, compassion, and understanding of your adopted child in this training. Thank you. There are 2 key points that adoptees want their parents to know. That I need help in learning that absence does not mean abandonment. That when you go away, I know you will be returning. They will need to hear from you over and over and over, the beginning, the middle, and the end, that you will be returning. And as an adoptee myself, I can tell you that they need to hear this more often than most. You may think you've said it enough, but honestly, they need to hear it more than you know. And number 2, I need to be assured often that I am welcome, worthy, loved, and valued more than you know. Again, often. Here are some more things I want you to know. Number 1, I have suffered a profound loss before I came to you. You are not responsible. Number 2, I need to be taught that I do have special needs arising from my foster care and/or adoption loss, of which I need not be ashamed of. 3, if I don't grieve my loss, my ability to receive love from you and others will be hindered. Number 4, I need your help grieving my loss. Number 5, teach me how to get in touch with my feelings about my foster care or adoption experience so that I can validate them. Some more things I want you to know. Number 1, I need to know the truth about my conception, my birth, and my family history, no matter how painful the details may be. Number 2, birthdays may be difficult for me. Number 3, when I act out my fears in obnoxious ways, please hang in there with me and respond to me wisely. Number 4, even if I decide to search for my birth family, I will always want you to be my parents. So what is loss? An adoption is created through loss, and all members of the adoption triad and constellation include birth parents, adoptive parents, and adoptees. They all feel the loss. The hub of the wheel that connects all the members of the triad is loss. Transracial adoptees can also experience the loss of connection to their race and or culture of origin. Adoptees, it's the experience of the loss of separation from their birth family, and or if there are foster children, they are also experiencing the loss of their foster parents and or first caregiver. Adoptees are aware of adoption at different developmental stages, which I go through in the second, third, fourth, fifth module. Sometimes they feel as if they are learning about their adoption for the first time when they reach a new developmental stage. They will have different questions and understandings of their story and learn to make sense of their story at each new developmental stage. Adoptees do not have closure on these losses. They are a lifelong process of making sense and understanding and have compassion and reorganizing their thoughts about themselves related to their early experience. So what are my losses? So I've broken this down into 4 types of losses, and also taking into consideration if you have adopted a child from foster care, what additional losses may be represented for them. So the first is the attachment loss. That may be connected to, if a child was in foster care, that first mother was absent. They didn't form a secure attachment. For the adoptee, separated at birth from their birth family. If a child's in foster care, their parent may have died, or the parent was unavailable due to drugs or alcohol, or the parent was incarcerated. And there's a saying that speaks to the loss that was innated, that came with me, now has to be created. So adoptees may act this out to work it out, sadly. However, they need help from their parents. Help me understand that I don't have to act this out. My parents' roles and choices and actions at that time were not the child's fault, and the child can be their own person separate from their parents' choices that they've made. The second is object loss. I may be missing my favorite toy or object that I formed an attachment to in my previous situation. So if a child was in foster care or even internationally adopted, they may have a blanket they formed an attachment to, a pacifier, a teddy bear, a piece of clothing. There's that object loss. Then there's the loss of self. The child can feel like it's my fault. And a lot of adoptees do have a piece, a part of them, that feel like, how could my first birth mother how could she have given me away? There must have been something wrong about me, that I was at fault here. And this is a part of them, that could they have done something, that they didn't have a choice, which internalizes they don't feel good about themselves. Child in foster care may have been physically, sexually, or emotionally abused and neglected by their parents, which also gave them a sense of, I wasn't important. However, in treatment, in helping children understand their stories, they will be able to separate and know that it was not their fault that they were separated from their biological families, that it was due to the circumstances in their birth parents' lives at that time that led them to create an adoption plan. And last, there could be a loss of environment, especially for children in foster care. I had a family I was separated from. I went to a school that I had made many friends, and now I'm changing schools again, changing neighborhoods, which can create a further loss for a child. So here I come to, don't take my grief away from me. Now that we've seen and experienced the losses, now we can understand that there will be grief. And grief is that empty space, my emotional reaction to my loss of someone or something which I have formed the bond of attachment. Grief can feel like a death. Grief allows me to process my loss through what's called mourning. Mourning means taking my internal experience of grief and expressing it out externally. Adoptees need to be encouraged to mourn their loss. They need to know that someone can help tolerate this with them. And it will feel very scary. It feels like an abyss that you go into and there's no footing. It's very overwhelming. But when they start to feel that loss and someone is there to help them tolerate their feelings with them, they will begin to feel really good. It will feel relieving. However, a lot of kids can have difficulty, as well as adults, dealing with their grief due to any shame, embarrassment, and fear of being misunderstood. Or that because I have this grief, they feel my parent thinks that I don't love them and I love my birth parents more because I'm grieving for that loss. It's not about that. They love you and their birth parents. And regardless of how abusive or traumatizing my previous situation was, and this is in relationship to a child who was in foster care, they are also still grieving the loss of that situation. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. So now we come to, what are you going to see in your child's behavior that shows them working through their loss? So I'm sorry, you're going to have to deal with this. I'm going to have difficulty with changes and transitions, even seemingly minor ones. I need to know what's going to happen. And this means it's important for families to understand explaining what is going to happen. If you're going somewhere, what's the beginning, what's the middle, what's the end? We're going to the adoption agency, we're going to have a party, we're going to open all our presents, then we're going to all get in the car, and then we're all going to come home. Now, I know it sounds tedious to go through all that preparation, but I guarantee you it will help them with any new transition to know what's going to happen. Also, I'm going to have trouble making decisions at times, real life decisions. It's going to be difficult for me because I don't know what the outcome is going to be. Also, I'm going to experience the 5 stages of grief. First stage is shock and denial. Second stage is anger. Third is guilt, bargaining. Was it my fault? Could I have done something different? Then I will experience some sadness and depression about my loss. And then as I move through my loss, I will accept different pieces of it and accept the outcome and the circumstances of my birth parents' lives at that time. And kids are going to vacillate. They're not going to be stuck in one or the other. They are going to vacillate and experience different stages at different times. Now, some kids can get stuck in either denial and or anger. And this is where I always recommend reaching out to a professional to see if your child does need some further support, and a psychotherapist helping them move through the denial, move through the anger, so they can experience the sadness, work through the guilt, and come to a place of acceptance. Next, I'm going to have problems coping with routine childhood or adolescent losses sometimes. I may be more emotionally vulnerable on my birthday. The last day of school may trigger some of my unresolved grief. When I lose a pet, I have so much grief. When I move to a new home, even if I was adopted, and as an adoptive family we move to a new home, it may trigger my unresolved grief and loss. So understanding that there could be some residual loss that is being mourned at any times in their routine. Next, I'm going to have a sort of learned helplessness and hopelessness due to a sense that I had no control over my life then, feeling like I have no control over my life now, so now I'm going to have to control yours. It's an external attempt to feel a sense of internal control. So it's helping kids understand that they do have a sense of helpfulness. They can feel hopeful. They can think about positive outcomes. and they can feel safe in their world. And through psychotherapy, they'll learn to let go of what we're seeing here as a defense mechanism, which is their fear of something terrible is going to happen again, and I'm trying to control the outcome so it doesn't happen. That's what controlling is about. And lastly, I'm going to question my identity and my existence. Who am I? Where did I come from? And where do I belong? And I do go through the different age groups in module 2, 3, 4, and 5, which shows what kids think about as to where they've come from, where they are now, and where they feel they fit in. So how can you help? How can you help with this loss? Well, first recognize and acknowledge all the losses and the effect the loss has had on their lives. Understand that this loss will never fully be totally forgotten. There will always be a conscious or unconscious awareness of the loss. Next, loss will be a part of their lives. Understand and consider your own losses. How did you come to terms with the losses in your life? It is a lifelong process. This doesn't mean that the adoptee is doomed. They get to learn how to manage their loss throughout their lives. Next, help to minimize future losses by keeping siblings together and considering having an open adoption. Children thrive knowing who and where they have come from. I've had many reunions for children as young as 5 and 6 years old in my office, and they understand who their birth parent is and who their parent is today. They are not confused, and it helps them reorganize themselves and make sense and validate where they've come from and understand where they are now. It's important to establish and maintain connections to the child's cultural origin and surround the child with role models from their racial or ethnic group. So incorporating your child into their ethnic or racial group a minimum of 3 times per week is what's best. It may not be realistic, however, do your best to have them be a part of their cultural and ethnic and racial community. Understand that the developmental unfolding of these cognitive understandings and processes is slow, and that children do not fully understand the impact of their grief really until they are adults, because they're more able to feel their feelings, they're more able to separate and make sense of their experience. It takes time. However, therapy is, I do very strongly feel that all adoptees need therapy. And if you start young, it will help them understand that they can learn how to help these different parts of themselves and learn how to manage. And last but not least, connect them with other adoptees via support groups, local organizations that provide adoption support and education. They need to see that they're not alone in this experience, and you as parents also need to know that there are other families that are formed by adoption and the outcomes are great. It's so healthy to be a part of a community that shares the same experience that you do. It only validates and supports and grows you as a family. This is a beautiful quote from a father. He says, "I've learned that loving an adopted child means grieving with him and for him. And adopted children do need to know that someone out there is feeling their loss with them, which is also called feeling felt by another. And when an adoptee can feel felt by their parent and know that their parent understands and can grieve their loss with them, the child can internalize a sense of compassion and self-empathy and love, which will only externally play itself out in having more love and more empathy and more compassion for others."
My sad bag. My sad bag is sad. Oh, a sad girl. A sad girl. Okay, so this one, again, like the anger bag, and people have said, are you like the bag lady? Because I have a lot of bags. But they do provide containment, and it gives the child a place to go to, and it has tools. So I created the anger bag, my sad bag, the stress bag, my out of control bag. So I just kind of went bag lady crazy. But I realized it was working. Why stop? So with this, the same thing. You need a bag. Again, I talked about, the color that I associate for sad is blue. So a blue bag, and it doesn't have to be this. You can get these for real cheap on orientaltrading.com. You can get like 10 of them for $12 or something. Or you can get a bag at the grocery store. A tear pillow, again, just a pillow case that the child's going to draw on, which will be their sad pillow. Paper to draw with crayons. What I've incorporated too, here's paper, is a small photo album, and we'll go through all of these. 1 pack of Guatemalan worry dolls. This is optional, but does anyone know what Guatemalan worry dolls are? And I can show you how to make them. Yes.
The ones that you put under your pillow.
Yes.
You tell them whatever.
They're worry dolls.
Yes.
In the legend in Guatemala is they're little dolls, and if you every night before you go to bed, if you tell them one worry and you put it under your pillow, the next morning all your worries will go away. I gave this to one girl, and one week, the next week I go and see her, and she was really mad at me. And I said, what did I do? And she said, those worry dolls didn't work. And I was like, oh boy, what do I do? How do I, okay, the worry dolls didn't work. Because really, they're a crock of, like they're really going to fix the worries. But my goal was to get her to express with her parent at night, just express what the worry is, and then the parent would know what it was. So then I thought, okay, let me be creative out of the box. I said, I know, you need even bigger worry dolls. They're too small. And she's like, yeah. So we made bigger worry dolls. We just made out of cloth and little like paper popsicle sticks, and we wrapped them with yarn, so you can make them. You just wrap them with yarn, different colored yarn, and put faces on them, and then put them in a bag. And the child can tell a worry to each one, because that's how they make them in Guatemala, pretty much. They just put yarn, thread around them, and painted them. So bubbles for the sad bag, and index cards for sad busters. I have been also getting books for kids on what is sad, what is a sad feeling, or you're going to create an experience book. What do I do when I have feelings? What do I do when I have sad feelings? Like that book I had passed around, the Blue Day book for that child. What they can do when they're feeling blue. You can give them a book, you can have them create their own books. And this child, this was a boy, he said, take a walk. You take a picture of the child doing the intervention. Take a walk, hug from mommy, snack break. Those were his 3. And I like 3, because I said that before. You're going to pick 3 interventions. 3 is a nice assortment. It's not too much, it's not too little, and it's clear. We do 3 at a time, because we don't want to overwhelm them. Giving them 10 interventions, they're not going to be able to do it. So I'll show you this book, because you haven't seen this one, right? What do I do when I have feelings? And the child decorates it. Okay. So with this bag, again like the anger bag, we're going to tell the child, we're going to create a sad bag because we've noticed you're having a lot of sad feelings. And we're going to give you some things to do with your sad feelings. So the first thing would be the tear pillow. The tear pillow again is drawing a picture. I like clouds because why? This is a container, and I tell the child the cloud is going to soak up your tears. So you can go here, you can cry, and the cloud will soak up your tears. And hold them. Again, a container, a place for the child to go to that's going to help hold them. You know, some kids when they're adjusting to a new family, too much touch with the potential foster adoptive family is overwhelming. It's too much for them. They can't fully allow crying into a parent's arms. They can't do it. So we have to respect where they are emotionally and give them another opportunity to, yes, let out the feelings in a safe way so they don't feel threatened. So that's the sad pillow. The next is Magical Wish Journal. Now what I was thinking when I thought about this is, in depression, we need hope. And when I think of wishes, it's a wish for hope. There's something I'm thinking of outside of this depression, out of this sadness. There's something better, like the cloud. You know, there's a silver lining behind every dark cloud. That's what I'm helping kids understand. So I have them create a wish book. It's just a bunch of paper, and they can write wishes. So for this, and you'll be really surprised, again, child's communicating, child's expressing. What is it that they wish for? I wish for a trip to Disneyland. They may be 12 and they've never been to Disneyland. I wish for a new doll, like the one I had in my foster family that disappeared when I moved. You know, maybe the doll I received from my birth father on my last visit 5 years ago. That meant so much. We don't realize those are attachments too. I wish for a visit with my brother. It's really interesting what kids put in their wish books. Now this is an example for you today. I don't have an original because they're with the child right now. But I really like this tool too because it gives them hope. And then they can share them with their parent, and then the parent has an understanding what they're wishing for too, and can possibly make it come true if they're able. We can't all go to Disneyland, it's pricey. But we can go out for ice cream. Okay, so the next one is paper to draw. Again, it's paper for the child to draw their feelings, write words, thoughts, anything they're feeling about feeling sad. And the sad bag has a lot to do with the grief and loss of the separation, not only from maybe the previous foster home, but that birth family. Or the siblings I lived with and then I haven't seen them because we're all in different homes. There's a lot of grief and loss for these kids, and we need to acknowledge and give them a place for it. A small photo album. What I do with this, and you can get these at the dollar store, and you know, for clinicians and social workers, this expense does not come out of your pocket. It's, we need to purchase these 5 items. You know, you present to the foster parent or the potential adoptive parent, you know, we're going to do this intervention. Can you provide me with? People have a lot of these things just sitting around the house, you know. So I know I'm asking a lot of you because this, you know, adds up financially, but you can always ask the parents to provide these because they are receiving monthly stipends for the child. So coming down to the photo album, I wanted to create an album of pictures that the child could look at to self-soothe and nurture, things that they like. So a mermaid swimming in space. A dog makes me happy. We all need visualizations to transform our experiences. I'm not feeling so good. I'm going to go look at the sunset today, right? That's what I'm teaching kids. You can find things to nurture and give yourself what you need. There are opportunities. You can do this. You're not helpless. I think that that's the bottom line here. I'm teaching kids. We may be feeling helpless, but we can help our helpless feelings feel better. A dog. My old preschool. This is a picture of a little boy, and I'll pass this around, who adopted an animal. He did an animal adoption. He was so proud. A baby face makes me happy. This little, I don't know what this is, chipmunk. Anything that, a pig with little boots on. You know, things that make a child laugh. A baby. Just some fun little things to instill. Again, we want to transform that cortisol into oxytocin, the love hormone. Even our bad feelings, our hurt feelings, deserve love. And I don't even like the word bad. Even our hurt feelings deserve love and attention. So here, it's a cute assortment of pictures I pulled together. And you can pull pictures together too for the child if they don't know necessarily what makes them feel good. And then the Guatemalan worry dolls, which I explained before. Bubbles, blow away, disappear technique. With bubbles and all of these interventions, once the child chooses 3, they all have parameters. We only use the bubbles in the kitchen. They're not on the nice sofa in the living room. You know, there are rules around everything. And what I tell children is I want you to think of something you're sad about, blow it into the bubble, and watch it disappear. What this is also doing is teaching them how to breathe. I want you to take a big, deep breath, blow it out, and watch the bubbles. Just watch. Stillness. They can pop them if they want, but there's something calming and soothing watching bubbles. Just like watching, you know, the leaves. It's called mindfulness. You're being mindful of the moment. You're slowing things down. Taking your time, which a lot of these kids don't have that skill and are not taught that skill. They need it to be modeled and they need it to be directed, taught. So I like bubbles a lot. Let it out. Take a big deep breath in. Let it out. Teaching kids how to breathe is really good with bubbles. Okay, so the next thing are those sad busters, like the anger bag. And for this one, I made some big cards. You don't have to do this, but if you feel you want to, go ahead. Type up sad busters on one side and what the child does. Asking them first, before you give them your suggestions, because they're the experts, what do you think is a good sad buster for you? Let's think. When you have sad feelings, what do you need? Because every kid is different. There's no cookie cutter way. Ask my parent for a hug. They can tolerate closeness when they're sad. Go get my bubbles and blow 3 wishes into the air. Take deep breaths slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say the tongue twister, Silly Sally sang dilly dally sitting on a swing. Go to my mirror and make a funny face. Write my sad feelings in my journal. Cross my arms around my body and give myself a big, big hug. That's a good one. We all need self-compassion. You know what? What they've been through is a lot. You deserve to give yourself a hug. You've been working so hard. You've had so many people come in and out of your life. That must have been so hard for you. They need a lot of empathy for their experiences. A lot of validation that yes, you're in pain. Yes, we understand. Yes, I get it. And that's why I'm providing you with this stuff, because you need it. Cry on my tear pillow to catch my tears for me. So that's the sad busters. And then at the end, they pick 3. They go in the bag, and the bag goes someplace special in the house. Could be in the child's room, wherever it's safe, because this isn't a toy. It's not played with, but it's practiced. So if sad feelings happened yesterday, let's write some of those. Let's draw a picture about the sad feelings you had yesterday. Because remember, in the moment, they're not going to be able to utilize this. It's the processing after or preparation for. If you're anticipating they're going to encounter some grief and loss, by seeing the birth family on a visit, which I see all the time. So that's the sad.
So understanding how trauma impacts behavior and how it impacts the brain. So the neurons that become wired together fire together and build a connection in the brain. A root template forms in the vast majority of synaptic connections. Those are experiences occur by the age of 3. The separation from the biological mother is considered a traumatic event. So children who have been separated from their biological mothers, it is considered a traumatic event. You don't have a child who's so per se traumatized. However, their brains are formed a little bit differently than children who have not been separated. So their behaviors may be a direct result of this internal working model, the imprints that they have downloaded from their early experiences. When I'm testing you, I'm testing my internal model. And that is, will you leave me too? Because my first mother left me. Am I loved? Will you continue to love me no matter what? Also, rewards and consequences may not be processed well, because when the brain becomes stressed, it only cares about the moment. There is no abstract or future thought of cause and effect. It's only in the moment. I may have difficulty processing thoughts readily, which can impact my learning. A traumatized child's brain is going to worry about adapting to their environment rather than focusing on accuracy and reality. At times, there's a statement that is said by many adoptees, and that is, and these are adults speaking, they have said that I'm not an adoptee, I'm an adaptee. That there's a lot of adapting happening in their lives, always adapting to different situations so that they feel the sense of fitting in. They can have difficulty in receptive learning, forming close relationships, receiving comfort, and developing trust, again, based on that early separation from their first attachment figure. Here are some key points of understanding trauma and how to maintain connection, emotional safety, and build trust, which is the foundation for every relationship. So with the traumatized brain, they rely heavily on nonverbal cues. And cues are a form of communication. 90% of communication is nonverbal. So it's very important to be aware of your nonverbal cues and what you're communicating to your child nonverbally. And that is the way you look at them with your eye contact, your facial expression, your tone of voice. Be in a curious state of asking questions, not an interrogating state. That will keep your tone of voice more of a high-pitched as opposed to a lower pitched that can be perceived by the adoptee as scary and threatening and not safe. Be aware of your posture, the way you're holding your body, hands on your hips, hands by your side, your hand gestures, your timing and intensity of response, how quickly you attend or not attend. So just being aware is a daily practice. Use it. It will help you understand what you're communicating to your child. It will also help you understand what your child is communicating to you. Be aware of their nonverbal cues. It's important. The second key point here is the child is saying, I need you to maintain a positive, effective tone that influences me rather than letting my negative tone influence you. If you react to my negative emotional state, then I will feel powerful and in control. However, by remaining calm, which I need you to do time and time again, I will eventually see you as strong enough to deal with me and my pain, and I will stop testing you with my high fear stress states that you're just going to do the same that my previous caregiver did. Trust me, I need you to stay calm and show me that you are strong enough to deal with me and my pain. It will help build that safety and trust in our relationship. And I teach kids, adolescents, and adults iMessages. And you can print these out, put them on the fridge, teach your child how to express how they're feeling and also express what their feelings need. All feelings, I tell kids and adults, have needs. Feelings come up because they need our attention. So, communicating, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling mad, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling overwhelmed, whatever the feeling is, to communicate that and then communicate what is it that you need. And there are 5 basic human needs. I need autonomy or alone time. I need some alone time. I need to take a walk. I need to take a break. I need affection. We all need affection. I need a kind touch. I need a kind voice. I need a hug. I need attention. And attention is listening. I need someone to just hear me. You may not agree with me, however, you're listening and taking me in. We all need appreciation. We all need to be told what we're doing well. So communicate to your child what you see them doing well. Communicate how proud you are, what you appreciate from them more than you know. Because again, you're not going to create what is a narcissist. They will not fully believe that they are that good enough. So they need to hear it often. And lastly, we all need acknowledgement. I just need you to see me, hear me, and take me in. I need to know that I exist. So it's acknowledging, especially for the adoptee. You can say, repeat back to them what you hear them telling you. I hear you telling me that you're really frustrated and you need a break. I get that. I hear you. I take you in. I'm receiving you. I get it. I understand. Please take care of yourself and take a break if that's what you need. Now, when teaching iMessages, I really strongly stress to parents, when your child is communicating what they need, honor that need. If they're communicating a want, that's different. Wants are different than needs. A want could be ice cream, cookies, or an iPod. We can't always meet the wants, but we can always meet the needs. So important to keep this in mind and teach your kids iMessages, and as parents, model iMessages for your children as well. So here we are talking about attachment now. And just so you know, again, children will believe it's their fault that they're not with their birth family, so they may apologize a lot and also see themselves in their attachment to you as, I'm bad, I'm stupid, I'm worthless, I'm unworthy, I'm unwanted, I'm not good enough, I'm deserving misfortune, I'm lacking full control, I'm ashamed of being different, and I feel incomplete. And based on the child's early life experiences, I'm sorry, I may perceive you as my early caregiver, even my birth parent who left. I may perceive you as violent, you as cruel, you're rejecting, you're unpredictable, you're a risk, you're not to be trusted, you're better than me, you're mean, you're overwhelming me with love. And these are all feelings of feeling vulnerable in the relationship due to these early root templates that have been created in their first years of life due to the separation of their first attachment to either their birth mother, their foster mother, or multiple caregivers. And for all of us, our brains are hardwired to seek safety. And if that first break in safety happened in your relationship to another, you will perceive that that safety could be impacted again in future relationships. So how will a child maintain safety? By denying any thoughts or feelings related to that experience. By shutting off, being silent. They may avoid eye contact because that makes me vulnerable. They may reject you first, especially your affection, because feeling vulnerable is you're trusting, you're opening up, you're taking in. And kids need a lot of encouragement to feel safe. They need their parent to display safety in the relationship, again, with all those nonverbal messages. I may lie, which keeps me at distance, because if you don't approve of me, I may be so scared that you may tell me to go also. They may argue for long periods of time. They may hold on and let go, this push and pull. There could be some dissociation, that is feeling numb, shutting off emotionally, physically, so that they don't experience that reciprocal relationship of love and trust. They could test you over and over. They can also be people pleasers, trying to get everyone to love them. So there's no negative insult, no sense of any perceived sense of rejection. They could manipulate. They could become defensive, oppositional, and angry, which is another form of pushing away. They could hurt you or themselves with their words or their hands. Again, these are all defense mechanisms to keep the child safe internally and externally from feeling a sense of love and connection, because if I really go there, can I really trust you're going to be there for me? And a parent who understands their external attempts to internally keep themselves safe. Here we have a picture graph of circle of security. This shows a parent attending to the child's needs. Now, this shows a picture for young children. However, this can work for all ages of children. As you can see, the two hands show the secure base. That is the parent. Children are going to explore what they need from their parents. I need you to support my exploration, watch over me, help me, enjoy with me, delight in me. Then it's so important, especially more important for a child who has had early separation. They need a welcoming home, a embrace from their parents where they feel wanted and needed, and they need that protection, that comfort, the delighting in, and organizing whatever it is that they're coming to you with a need to be met in understanding and making sense of their experiences. And here we have the circle of trust, which is another picture graph from the circle of security, which is so important, especially more important for a child who's had that early separation from the first mother, the birth mother. And there is a sense in the mind and the body that there is a lack of trust in relationships. So children really need their parents to understand what they need their parents to do when they do come to them when their world is turned upside down. Because children are coming with this chaotic feeling. They don't feel okay. Sometimes I don't know what to do. I'm sad, scared. I might be clingy. Might be quiet. I might feel out of control. What I'm telling you is I don't know what to do with my feelings. There's a phrase in the attachment community: children who are scared will do scary things. And also, children do not act out because they want attention. Children act out because they need their parents' attention. And what they need is they need their parent to talk with other adults and let them help you trust in the future. Children need their parents to be in charge, be kind, give me predictability in my daily routine, sit down with me often after soothing reassurance, and let me know it's still going to be okay. And it's okay to be afraid or sad. Because what I'm really saying from the child's point of view is, please help me. I need you because I'm often still scared, confused. You may not realize how much you help me just by being with me. And in closing, what are the special needs for adopted children? They have emotional needs. I need help recognizing my adoption loss and grieving it. If I don't grieve my loss, my ability to receive love from you and others will be hindered. I need to be reassured that my birth parents' decision not to parent me had nothing to do with anything defective in me. I need help in learning that absence doesn't mean abandonment, and I need permission to express all of my adoptive feelings and fantasies. And lastly, I need validation needs met. I need validation of my dual heritage. That's my biological heritage and my adoptive heritage. I need to be assured often that I am welcome and worthy. I need your validation that I have suffered a profound loss before I came to you and you are not responsible. I need to be reminded often by my adoptive family that they delight in my biological differences and appreciate my birth family's unique contribution to our family tree through me. I hope you have found this training helpful, and I hope to see you at Module 2. Thank you for being here. And now you can take your test, have your quiz results, and print out your award of completion. Thank you so much for being here with me.